Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Chats with Chelsi. Once again, you're in for a treat today. I have a fellow woman leader who is based here in Richmond, Virginia. Ladies, join me in welcoming Janna Hall here. She is the CEO of Leap Innovative Group. Let me get that right. Leap Innovative Group, and she is the founder of the Fun Employed Movement. So, ladies, join me in welcoming Janna Hall.
Hello.
Welcome to Chats with Chelsi.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be doing this with you.
I love it. I am so excited to just be able to learn more about your story as we're chatting, and then to share it with the Chats with Chelsi community. So, about 4 years ago, you were in New York.
Yes.
Tell us how you started there, because I know you were born in Florida. I was born in Florida.
Yes.
But how did you get to New York?
So it's so crazy. So I was in college. I went to James Madison University, and I kind of had trouble figuring out my path. I started off as a business major, then moved to communications, and I just kind of bounced around marketing, all of these things. I changed my major 4 times, and I ended up in English because that was the thing that I'd always loved to do. I always loved writing, and so I decided to end my collegiate career as an English major. And while I was there, I really, I had a concentration in print journalism, and I loved just writing. I loved the journalistic aspects of telling stories. And so I took a lot of journalism classes, and one of my teachers, she asked me, she's like, "You're a great writer, what do you want to do?" And I was like, I don't know. I know most English majors become teachers, but I was like, I don't want to teach. Okay. And so I was like, I think I maybe want to write for a magazine. And she's like, you need to go to New York. There's no question about it. You need to go to New York. And so I immediately, put together a portfolio and started, writing all these magazine companies, trying to get internships. I would literally drive up to New York for a day for an interview, get dressed, do my makeup and everything there, and then drive straight back to Virginia to get papers and finish, class, because, class never, things never stopped. And so I ended up, I didn't get an internship at a magazine, but I was like, I'm going to go anyway. I'm just going to,
So you went to New York with
no job,
no internship.
Internship, nothing. Thankfully, I had family there that let me stay with them. Thank God.
Yes.
And so, I just took little jobs here and there. I had a job as a personal assistant to a celebrity stylist. I hated it.
Really?
But it was a great learning experience. And I had some, another friend who moved up after they graduated, and then just ended up meeting people through, socializing, and so that's how I got there, and then that's how I ended up, eventually finding work.
So you were there, and then how long were you there in New York?
5 years.
5, okay. 5 years. What was your favorite part of being in New York?
I love the energy. To know that this is a city where everything happens.
Wow.
Movies, music, fashion, everything is happening in this very city. And so it's hard to not be energized by that feeling of, getting off the train and just seeing the people passing by of all backgrounds, of all careers, and they're making stuff happen. And whether you are, at the bottom of the totem pole or you are a millionaire, we all have this, we're in the same place. We're all riding the trains together. We're all, and so it really energizes you and makes you feel like there's nothing you cannot achieve because you are literally in the city of dreams. I love that feeling. Love it.
It sounds energizing, and as if it just awakened something on the inside of you. So you were in New York, and then you found yourself in Europe. You took a one-way ticket there. Tell us about that, and I'm also curious of where were you financially during this time to just say, I'm picking up and I'm leaving, and I'm going across the world at that.
Right. So that was a really bold move. So I'd gotten into the digital marketing field, and I loved it. I was at my dream job, and I always said I was going to stay in New York as long as the city took my breath away. That was what I always said. Okay. I'm going to be here as long as I wake up in the morning or I get off the train and I'm in awe of where I am. And New York wears you down. It, it's a rat race. You pay a lot of money for a little bit of space. It's expensive to live. The trains, like, there's just so many factors that beat down on you. And, you know, I don't think New York is a place that's sustainable for long, you know, to live there forever. And so, you know, I just got to a point where I had reached a dead end in my job. I knew that I couldn't go any higher. And I was just, like, I was literally, like, rejecting where I was working, where I was living. Emotionally, I would walk into work and just, like, start crying because I just knew that this was not it for me anymore. And I didn't know what was next, but I just knew that I didn't feel comfortable here. And so my best friend, she's out in LA.
Okay.
She was like, Janna, let's just go. Let's just leave. Like, you're over your job. I remember I was in Trader Joe's. I had just finished, like, a crying spell, and I was in Trader Joe's walking to get groceries, and she sent me this article from a girl who like, broken up with her boyfriend and backpacked. She's like, let's do it. And I'm like, no. She's like, Janna, you hate your job. Like, let's just do it. And I was like, okay, I'll think about it. And one day, literally, like, I was sitting in a meeting at work, and I was just like, I'm so over this. And I sat in the meeting and booked a one-way ticket to Amsterdam. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm done with this place. And I needed to go search for something more meaningful. And so it was a big risk. I had just moved into a new apartment, so my roommate was less than thrilled that, like, now she had to find someone else to live with. But I was like, I just can't do it anymore. And so I knew I put in my 2 weeks. They asked me, you know, what are you doing next? You have a new job? And I was like, no, I'm just leaving. And I knew I had one more check coming. And my final check from my job was going to have a little extra money because of, you know, my PTO payout and all that other jazz. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to use this last check to just make it happen. And so me and my best friend, we got on the plane, I cashed my check, and I was like, I'm going to just live off of this. And when we run out of money or we're, you know, over this experience, we'll come home. And my parents, thankfully, were, you know, my mom is all, you know, live your best life, and you're young, you have no responsibility, you're not married, like, you know, do what you want, like, do, you know, explore. And so when I got home, I was like, all right, I saw the world, I met some great people, I'm broke, so now what's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
So tell us where you backpacked in Europe.
Okay, so we started off in Amsterdam, went from Amsterdam to Berlin, Germany, went from Berlin to Prague, Czech Republic, from Prague to Austria, from Austria to Venice, Italy, from Venice to Rome, and then Rome, we stopped, after Rome we went to, my backpack got stolen.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so I had nothing, and so we were just like, okay, I guess this is where the trip is. So we had planned to go to Florence, Italy after Rome, and I still want to go back, and then end in Paris. So we had our return flight in Paris, but we were like, we can't. So we ended up finding a really cheap $87 flight from Amsterdam back to the States. And so we just, like, took a 36-hour bus ride from Rome to Amsterdam and stayed there for 2 days so that we could fly out and fly back home. So yeah, that was our...
Well, so I've been to many of the places that you shared, and they're just beautiful. And it's so great to meet a fellow woman, a fellow African-American woman who has been outside the States, because I believe it gives you, to this day, I still say studying abroad was the best experience of my life.
Yeah.
I lived in Belgium. I traveled to 9 other countries, including Italy. I went to Czech Republic, Prague, you know, all those different places. And it gives you this perspective that I think too often we miss, because we can be so into ourselves here in the United States. And so it was just amazing. It was humbling. It was eye-opening. How did that experience propel you into founding your current group?
I met up, so we didn't do traditional hotels. I think we had one night where we were sick and we needed a hotel, but we did couch surfing, which is an app that you make your trip public, and you create a profile that has all your interests and, you know, background information on yourself, and people who live in your area can decide to host you.
Wow.
And it's completely free. They either have a spare couch or an air mattress or a spare bedroom. And they're like, hey, I'm willing to host you. And it's free. And so in doing that, we were able to meet so many people and just have real conversations just about life and get other perspectives. Like you were saying, we can be so insular and worried about ourselves. And,
Right.
you know, so to actually have conversations and like learn about other cultures and just this idea of happiness and fulfillment. And one thing that was a common trend was Americans work so hard. You take no time to enjoy life. And so, you know, really thinking about, okay, what makes me happy? You know, what are some things, like how can I create a life that I'm proud to live, the life that I've developed for myself, and a life that's fulfilling, and I don't want to take a vacation from it. I don't have to go into the office and cry every day because I'm so miserable. And so I started thinking about, okay, what are my talents? What are some things that I enjoy doing? I love doing digital marketing. That was my dream job. That was what I was doing before I left New York. I just wasn't happy in that space. And so I knew that other companies needed the service. And so I just, in this whole search for fulfillment and something bigger, it led me to entrepreneurship. And so, you know, and it was all because of the conversations I had with people about how stressed Americans are and how little fulfillment they have and how much they work just so that they can take a vacation. And so I didn't want to have that life anymore. I wanted to create my own.
Your own life. So, your own path. So, in that, Leap Innovative Group just celebrated 3 years.
Yes.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
For all the entrepreneurial women who are watching right now, how did you come back from your trip abroad and grow a business that's sustainable and you have a team of employees? How did you grow that in 3 years?
Well, never underestimate the power of connection. You know, I never burn a bridge. I think it's so important. You know, you never know where a relationship can take you, even a loose connection. And I read a book called The Defining Decade, Where Your 20s Matter. And in the book, she's a psychologist who works with millennials, and she, you know, just created a book off of common trends that her millennial clients dealt with. And she has a section about career talking about the power of loose connections and how, you know, the people who propel us forward aren't just the people we see and hang out with every day, because we all think alike, we're around the same people, we do the same things. The people you just maybe like see every now and then, or just are friends with on social media, those are the people who really have the power to propel you. And so, you know, when people saw what I was doing, they would refer me to people. All of my clients so far, thankfully, have been word of mouth from loose connections. And so being able to constantly talk about what I'm doing and putting myself out there for people who may not be my, you know, BFFs, but they're just people I see around, you know, making it clear what I do and, you know, what I'm looking to do. And then they'll say, oh, I know someone who knows someone who needs that service. Or some people I used to work with at my, you know, my dream job that I left, they eventually, you know, 2 years later became my client. And so, because I maintain those connections, and, you know, even though it wasn't a thing that I talk to you every day or every week or every month, you know what I'm doing and there's no bad blood there. So if you need me, you know you can reach out to me. And so that's really how I grew my business, is through these loose connections and putting myself out there and telling people what I do. And then eventually, you know, the help came. It came in the form of, you know, interns. And then eventually, you know, creating, and another thing is about having my own business. I was really adamant of building a business that reflect the values that I thought a company should have. Values, things that I didn't get in my full-time job. And so I really wanted to change the workplace culture. And so in having that, I think, that mission, I was able to attract people who also wanted this kind of workplace culture that's, you know, fun and investing in your employees' growth. And so interns became paid team members, and then we were just able to grow from there. And, you know, I always, you know, believe that God will make room for your gift, for what you're doing. And so the more I, you know, showed that I was serious about working and showed that I was serious about having a team and treating them right, the more he would send work my way, so that I would have money to pay the team and money to grow the team. And so that's really how it's grown. Loose connections and just being authentic with God and showing him, like, I'm ready for what you want to do with me, because I know you have a purpose, and so I'm going to make sure that I am aligning myself with,
I think it's so beautiful that you have not allowed fear, not to say that it hasn't been there, but you have not allowed fear to take over, to overshadow your purpose, your passions, your talents. And so for me, I mean, that is just congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope that for so many of the Chats with Chelsi community members who will be watching is that they will take that leap of faith, that leap of courage, that leap of fulfilling purpose, because I mean, you are living that. One of the things I'm curious, why the name Leap Innovative Group?
Okay. So when I was working at my old company, we had a reorganization, restructure, and we brought in a new chief communications officer who, when she came in, she brought someone with her and, to lead the team that I was over. And so, it was a struggle to have a new boss. But she explained to me, the new chief communications officer, she explained to me, this girl isn't qualified for the job on paper, but I believe she has what it takes to lead the team. So this is considered her leap job. When you're not technically qualified on paper, but someone believes in you enough to give you the opportunity. And so for me, being a CEO, going from being a 20-something low-level social digital media manager to being a CEO, that was my leap job. Because I'm not technically qualified on paper, but I believe in myself enough to give myself the title, to give myself the position of CEO and to run a company. So this is my leap job. And so Leap Innovative Group. And I want to inspire others in other businesses, other people I work with to take the leap and live a life. So it's kind of twofold. It's the leap job, but then it's also taking the leap and just dare and not let fear stop you and to, just do something different.
So tell us, what can we expect from your group? So you just celebrated 3 years. What can we expect from your group in the next 3 years? What's the vision, Madam CEO?
Madam CEO. We really, we're going to be doing a lot of events. It's really easy to get comfortable being just strictly digital. We're all used to being on social media, but really that human connection. That's why I love what you're doing with these interviews. You're getting in people's face and you're building human connection. So we're going to be hosting a lot of events. We actually have one coming up, shameless plug, on March 22nd. It's the Fun Employed Mixer, so it's going to be just a celebration of people who have their own businesses to just connect and meet and just put themselves on display and just have a great time. And so we're going to be doing a lot more events, seminars, so teaching people how to write for social media, how to do the work. A lot of people just do these empowerment brunches and things like that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of us need to know how to do the work,
right?
And so I want to be able to share my expertise with people so that they are empowered to know how to write for social media, how to market themselves, how to brand themselves. So we'll be doing a lot of events, a lot of seminars and workshops, a lot of mixes and mingle events, and just really building this community of people that doesn't just live online.
What would you tell the young woman out there who is 20-something like you were a few years ago and wants to take the leap?
Do it. There are a million reasons that you can think of why you shouldn't and why you would fail, but there are also a lot of reasons why it could work. And so why does the failure have more weight than the possibility of it working? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to think about where you want to be. Create small milestones. I just want one client. I just want, or I just want to make one sale. Whatever it is you want to do, create small milestones and measure success in small increments. Because every day you wake up and actually do work is success. So I think it's so easy to not try because you think about where you want to be in comparison to where you are.
Yeah.
But if you just measure success in small measures, you'll see that it's actually possible. And so, I just, fear, it's easy to let fear stop you. I am fearful all the time. But you have to know that there's a possibility you can fail, there's a possibility that you'll succeed. So why not take the chance?
I love it. Tell us about one of your favorite projects that you've worked on as CEO.
Favorite project. So when I was able to return to my old job as the CEO of my own agency, and they were my client, I was able to lead the digital media team and really kind of put into action a lot of things that I wanted to do my first go round. So it was really nice to have that platform to be able to execute some ideas, try new things, and really see, what this organization could be if we just tried something different, And so I was able to, so the client was Girl Scouts, and I was able to construct the first ever partnership between Girl Scouts and Teen Vogue. And
wow.
Yeah, and it was incredible. There were so many ideas that I wanted to happen with Girl Scouts and Teen Vogue, some that were larger, required larger budget, and it just wasn't possible in a short time. And so I really, instead of just hanging it up and saying, oh, this is not going to work, I fought for other options. What are some smaller commitments? What are some things we can do now? And really worked with the Teen Vogue team to say, look, we really want to be a part. This is so important for the brand. Now, what are our options? And so they were able to come back with an option that was feasible and doable, and we were able to execute in a short amount of time. And so we were able to partner for the Teen Vogue Summit. And so we were able to bring 10 Girl Scouts out to LA.
Because of your work, because of the fact that you did burn bridges when you left, and they were able, and they wanted to bring you back on, and you did something innovative, first of its kind, that's affecting young teen girls across the country. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really, when I think about it, it just makes me so, it was just such an important partnership, and it was something that I was like, you cannot pass this opportunity up, Girls nowadays, our teen girls, they're having real conversations. When I was a teenager, I wasn't worried about reproductive health or worried about climate change or worried about any major issues. And so to see that there are girls who are really fighting and they're taking interest in really changing the world, I was like, it's a no-brainer. Teen Vogue, and since they had the first Black editor-in-chief, Elaine Welteroth, she really put some real activism and social justice behind the Teen Vogue platform. And so I was like, this is a no-brainer to have older Girl Scouts who are, 16, 17, partnering with or even attending the Teen Vogue Summit to be in on these conversations. And so going out to LA and meeting with the girls and seeing the girls thrive in this environment and actually show what they're passionate about. There was one girl who owns a feminist magazine, so she was out there and she was able to talk about that. Another girl was interested in LGBT, things, and just these major issues, climate change. Just so many different issues that I would have never, thought that, teenagers would care about. They were out there, they were raising their hands, they were talking, they were, making connections, and I was just like, this is where Girl Scouts should be. They should be in this room. And so I was so proud that I was able to help make that happen and give these girls this opportunity to really shine. Yeah.
I'm so, as I sit here and I'm chatting with you and learning more about you, I'm just so excited for what you and your team are going to do. One of the things I saw was that your team is all female. Was that on purpose?
Yes.
Tell us why.
There are so many things that I messed up on when I was trying to break into the corporate world, and just embarrass myself. Email etiquette, conference call etiquette, even, insecurity about my natural hair. Should I wear it in the workplace? Is it acceptable? Will I be taken seriously? Being young and Black in the workplace, the youngest, person in the company almost. I felt like other girls and other Black girls, women, need the opportunity to learn these hard lessons early on. And so my team is young women by design. because I want to be able to give these women opportunities to learn the hard lessons ahead of time, so that when they do enter the working world, they already know the soft skills. I know how to write an email, and I know how to, facilitate a conference call. I know how to lead a meeting, and I'm confident enough to do that. And so I really wanted to use my platform and use this opportunity, use my company to allow them to, one, work with clients on a larger scale, work on national brands, to be able to do work that a lot of companies wouldn't let an entry-level person do. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't let you manage your account. Good. They wouldn't let you, facilitate calls because you're entry-level. You're bottom of the totem pole. They don't care. Mm-hmm. And so being able to give these women responsibilities that they would otherwise never get, so that when they're entry-level, they're not really entry-level. They're actually mid-level because they know how to do these things. And so that's really why my team looks the way it looks. It's by design.
Incredible. Just incredible. I mean, you're just changing the game. You're changing the game.
And I said I wanted to build a company that reflects what I value. And like, I don't care how old you are. If you're able to do the work, then you should be given the opportunity. And people pigeonhole people because they're junior level or they're young. And it's like, you actually don't know what they're capable of until you actually throw them out there and let them do it.
It's so real and it's so true because everyone, and I think that you're helping with that gap. But to your point, everyone, their skill sets are different. Mm-hmm. Because you could bring in somebody who's 50 who still is at that entry level.
Exactly.
And so it's sometimes, I think, for us as millennials, we get put in this box that we don't know or that, we may not be ready. And so it's just really incredible that you're using, as you share, you're using your platform to lift up and to educate others. As an entrepreneur, what has been your biggest mistake?
My biggest mistake? There's been tons of them. Biggest mistake as an entrepreneur? I think my biggest mistake has been, this is a tough question. I have a lot, but I think, financially, it's tough, to run a business. I think I have undercut myself a lot, when it comes to what I charge people. And I haven't had enough hard conversations where I'm inserting my value, this is what I'm worth, and standing firm in that. I have, had an idea of what I wanted to charge someone, and the minute there's tension, or they're pushing back, or the minute it's time for me to actually write that number, I'm like, might be too much, and I'll come down. And I think about how much money I've left on the table because I've been afraid to put it out there and say, this is my rate, and this is it. And so I think, and it's something I'm still working on. I've been able to get some practice, but like that's with the larger brands, that I know have the budget. But, it's really tough to have a rate and stick to it as an entrepreneur because you get to a point where you're like, any money is better than no money.
That's real.
And, but, at what cost?
Right.
In the long run, like if
you're... And how does it affect your brand?
Exactly. If you, are inconsistent with your prices and the minute someone pushed back, you drop your price $500 because you just don't want to upset them and you want the deal. And so, and that's something that, full transparency, I'm still working on, being able to name my price and stick to it and not waver. So I think that's been my biggest mistake. There have been a lot of times that I've just, the money conversation has scared me, and I need to just stand firm because a lot of these other agencies, they do it. They stand firm in what their worth is, and if you don't want to pay, you're not the ideal client. Yeah.
I love that because that's something that I'm working through as well. So I have a strategy consulting business, and I have been faced with, there's some clients who are like, tell me your rate, write the check. And then others, it's, well, I can only fit this much in my budget. And where I have found myself is, Janet, is I ask myself this question that my husband often poses to me, and it is it worth it? Is it worth it to do the work for a price that's less than? Is it worth it from the perspective of, is this going to be an opportunity to build my brand? Is this just not about, is this an opportunity to expand my work base because it's something I know but maybe not be the best? And so I've been faced with some of those that same predicament of, okay, there's a balance between being flexible, especially if you're working with other entrepreneurs and small businesses, but yet still making sure that you don't compromise your value because that's your brand. And then when they refer someone, you know, the next group may be expecting this discount too.
Right. Yep. And it's like, who told you that? I didn't tell you that. Don't be telling my rates if I give you a deal.
Right.
But yeah, that's the position you put yourself in when you continually compromise and, you know, go down your rate and don't enforce your price. It's like, that's your brand. Your brand suffers because of it. I'm working on it. I'm working.
I am too. It's okay. You know, again, is it worth it in putting in and then just going through all those different questions of worth and what that means. You know, because I've tried to be a little interesting and ask my husband, hey, should I do this? And he's like, listen, I can't answer that question.
Right. Only you know.
Only you know what's worth it. Only, and so it's put this ownership on myself on me of how am I defining my worth, right? Outside of the prices, right? How am I defining my worth and my brand so that when people come to the CHB group, they know what to expect, they know what they're getting, but they also understand why my prices may be X, Y, and Z. And so it's something I've actually been working through this week, so this is just so timely. It's just like, okay. And then, this is the other thing that I've learned, that I am learning and continue to learn. When I do decide to do a discount, I can't be mad at the client. You know,
you accepted the rate.
I accepted it, and so I've been going through it in my mind. I'm like, okay, if I accept this rate, you know, in the back of my mind, I can't be being paid.
Right. Well, I'm only giving you this because you only want to pay that. It's like, actually, no, you gave her that rate.
And so, but these are real things that as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, that we deal with. In building and growing and sustaining a business.
And another thing, and you can understand this, you know, as a consultant, because I do digital media consulting. I do the strategy and execution part, but I also consult. And it's hard because people don't really value consultants as much as they should. They're like, oh, it's just a conversation. I'm just picking your brain. No. I'm an expert at this. Like, I have studied. I've gone to school and I've done research. Like, this is not you picking my brain. Like, you wouldn't go to a doctor and, can I pick your brain? No, you'd have a copay.
Listen.
So, like, so it's really hard with the consulting, too, because, like, you know, if you say, oh, my hourly rate is, you know, $300, for example, for consulting, they're going to be like, for what? It's a conversation. Like, there's no tangible exchange of goods, but, you know, and so that's another struggle is, you know, you may come to, I have chopped my consulting rate in half and been like, okay, I'll charge you $75 for a 2-hour session instead of $150. And, you know, because I'm afraid that they don't see the value in having this conversation. And so, you know, that's the other.
It is. It's tough. And, you know, one of the things that I've become more mindful of is, because I do a consultation call or consultation meeting, of being mindful of not giving away my entire strategy, doing that, because to your point, sometimes people think, oh, this is just a conversation, and then if they think that they can do it, then you just talked yourself out of a job, and so out of a contract, out of a client, and so it definitely has its challenges. You know, what keeps me going in my consulting group is I love strategy. I absolutely love strategy. I love being able to come in, being faced with a problem, and let me solve it. You know, let me put on my white hat and show you how this is done. So thank you for sharing your mistake and just because that is such a real struggle for, I think, for entrepreneurs, and then I think for women, and then as Black women, because there's so many different boxes that we can be put in, and you have employees, you have people who are you have bills, and so this is
And these bills aren't going to say, "Oh, we understood you were afraid to have that conversation. You don't owe us this month." They're like, "No, where's this money?
Where is our money?" So, as we close, tell those who are watching what are your tips to taking the leap and creating the life that you've envisioned?
Well, there are a few. So actually, I did a blog series on this. Called 5 Fridays to Fun Employed, for people who have a passion, people who, are ready to monetize their passion and they want to make the transition to do what they love full time. I had, a series every Friday. I would give another tip on what they could do to get one step closer. So whether it's thinking about how your pricing structure should be, making those connections, finding resources and communities that help you either refine your craft or help hold you accountable. These are all things that that it takes to run a business. And so, and also thinking about sacrifices you need to make. So, aside from, that blog series, which can be found at leapinnovativegroup.com/funemployed, shameless plug.
No, this is about you. Yeah, absolutely.
I really, when you get started, I would say it's important to write out the worst that could happen and make peace with that, and then do it anyway. And so you have to kind of be realistic in a sense of like, okay, these are going to be my struggles. These are going to be the things I'm up against. I think a lot of people who are afraid to take the leap, they want to see it all make sense first. And so, satisfy that itch to make it all make sense and write it out. Okay, if I want to take the leap and do, my passion full time, say I'm a photographer, for example. Okay, what are my bills? How much money do I need to make each month? Now, what does that look like in terms of the services I'm offering? If you have $3,000 in bills, then how many photo shoots do you need at your current rate?
Right.
To make that $3,000, or maybe 4, so you could have a little nest egg, and if to make that $4,000 you're doing 80 photo shoots a month because your rate is so low, okay, well then where can you raise your rate? How can you increase, your offering so that you can charge more and make your, so just make it make sense. A lot of people there's a bunch of brain fog and like so many ideas floating around, and so many, you have ideas and then responsibilities and then reasons why you shouldn't. And so it's just like, put it all out.
Yeah.
And just start with take a blank slate and just say, this is what it is. These are the buckets, my responsibilities, my talents, things that I can monetize, and then these will be the roadblocks that I'll face. And then just start tackling it one by one. I think a lot of people they can make it happen. I understand that bills are real. Bills got to get paid. But I also believe that it can happen. You can take your insurance, factoring in everything. And that's kind of what I had to do. Health insurance, car note, like all these bills you have, you can sustain if you just work it out that way, if I'm making sense. Like it's, and so I think it's just, a lot of us just get so caught up on the whole, like, the daunting, oh, these are my responsibilities. But if you have something and you're ready to take the leap and you want to, there's no reason why you can't, like just work and figure out how the numbers need to work. I mean, that's all it is. It's just doing the math and figuring out what, how it needs to work. And then also, look at your surroundings. Are you surrounding yourself with people who make you feel like you can do what you desire to do? Are there people who are filling your well? Or are they people who are just taking from you? That's true. Because you're the people you surround yourself with, your tribe, even the loose connections you have, like they, it matters who you surround yourself with. Yeah, and so those are my like immediate things. Of course, there's a larger list on the blog with those tips, but that's what I would say. That's how to start.
I have absolutely loved this opportunity to chat with you.
Yes, this has been great. Yes. Thank you so much.
To hear your journey, to learn from you. So tell those, our fellow community members, how they can follow you, they can get in touch with you.
So Leap Innovative Group. You can, of course, check us out at leapinnovativegroup.com. On Instagram, we are at Leap Innovative Group. And so that's where you can get to know the team. We give some marketing gems out for people who, want to just know how to improve. Thank you. And just, share a lot of resources and videos to motivate and inspire. But me personally, it's me, J Marie, on Twitter, on Instagram and Twitter, ITSMEJMARIE.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and that's where I am. And I would love to connect with everyone.
That's awesome. Well, ladies, I hope that you have enjoyed today's chat as much as I have. You have learned how Janna she took her leap, and now she has a business that is successful, an agency 3 years in the making, and so much more to come. So be sure that you reach out to her, follow her on Instagram, Twitter, and check out her business website. And listen, if you like my shirt today, sis, this is your time. Be sure to go to lifewithchelsi.com and purchase it. Remember, all your purchases support the Life with Chelsi Foundation and all the things that we're doing to serve women in the community. Have a great one, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye. Thank you.